Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in Ecclesiastes, starting at chapter 8, verse 4, going through chapter 9, verse 10. It starts off by talking about obeying the word of the king or the magistrate or the government ruler. And the thing is that the authority given to the state is not to make us good or to justify us before God. It's simply to keep sin from getting any worse, to restrain sin. And so we're called to obey the leaders, even though they themselves are wicked, perhaps very much so. He goes on to say that, there's no way to escape this. And as he says in verses 4 and 7, there's a proper time and procedure for every matter, though a person could be weighed down with misery, with anxiety, but no one knows the future, and who can tell somebody else what is to come? And for sinners, for fools who deny God, the future is full of anxiety and fear, and they feel that misery now. But for those who have faith, the future is in God. We recognize that the Lord himself is our Sabbath rest. His promises are true. And so we trust that. As he goes on in verse 9, he says, something else I saw under the sun was that, those who used to do wicked things and yet, went to church and were praised by everybody in the city, they die one day. And even though there's these criminals who you wonder, how come they have such a long life? One day they're going to die too. And it's going to go better for those who revere. This is in verse 12. It's going to go better for those who fear God, for those who have a reverent love of God. And the wicked who do not fear God, it's not going to go well for them on the day of judgment. He goes on to say there's something else that's meaningless under the sun, is that the righteous get what the wicked deserve and the wicked get what the righteous deserve. And you know what? There's no control over that under the sun. And so rather than hype, to harp on that, it is better for us to simply enjoy the blessings that God has given to us. Because that enjoyment itself, that rejoicing, that act of faith is a gift. That contentment is a gift from God. He goes on in verse 17, it says, no one can comprehend what goes on under the sun, despite all the things that we try to get control over. But you think about how we get so wrapped up in things that we have no control or influence over. You might as well just enjoy the blessings that God gives to you. So then we go on to chapter 9, verse 1. All that's done under the sun is that those who live righteously, live with the wisdom of God, they're despised by the world, hated by the world. And, this world is so full of evil, as it says. Evil is in every aspect of human society, filled with indignation and ingratitude, because the world is trying to make themselves a God where they don't need the Lord. And the world treats everybody the same with, regardless of whether you're good or bad. The world treats everybody the same. And so he says in verse 4, do not despair, because, have hope for the living. That's why he says, the living have hope. Better to live as a dog than as a dead lion. So don't despair. Once you're dead, the game is over. So all your worry about the future doesn't matter. Live in faith today. You cannot change things no matter how we torture or make ourselves worry. So don't have gratitude. Don't torture yourself.